Hey, this is Chris. Hope you're doing well, and welcome to Popcorn Finance, the show where we discuss finance and about the time it takes to make a bag of popcorn. As always, I really appreciate you all coming back and joining me for another episode. And this week, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. So I had a really great conversation with Sarah from Budget Girl, and we were talking about some of the books that we've been reading in our individual reading challenges. And Sarah has a huge challenge that she set for herself. So as you can imagine, this conversation went on for a little while. Let's just say it went on longer than it takes to make a bag of popcorn. I'll just put it like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break up this conversation into 3 parts and play it throughout the week. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you'll get I guess like an individual piece, a kernel, I don't know what you would call this, but a piece of this conversation. And then I'll cap it all off on Thursday with a pop-up debate, a very special pop-up debate that Sarah and I had. So yeah, I just figured, hey, why not? I really enjoyed this conversation. Why not play it all? But I'm just going to break it up into bite-sized individual bags for you all throughout this week. So without further ado, let's hop into part 1 of our conversation. Today, I'm very excited because I have someone on here who is just completely outdoing me with my reading challenge, the little paltry reading challenge that I have set for myself to read 20 books in 2019. Today, I'm joined by Sarah from Budget Girl, who is planning on reading 100 books, which my mind can't even understand that. I don't even understand that. So, Sarah, thank you for coming on the show. And what is going on with this challenge?
Well, I've already read 35 books this year.
So you've read more books than I plan to read for the whole year.
But 20 books is fantastic. I'm a huge reader, and I've loved reading ever since I was a child. And I get so excited whenever anyone wants to talk about books. So when I saw on some of your social media that you were reading, and especially that you were reading some of the same books that I have, I really wanted to talk about it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it because you have an amazing YouTube channel. And on top of that, you're just a great person. It was really nice meeting you. I got to meet you in Orlando at FinCon as well. So, I was like, you got to have you on. We got to talk books. Because to me, reading is not something that's been a part of my life because I was very lazy in school, but it's something I'm trying to add into what I do, and not just finance books, although I love those because it's always great to, keep up to date and to learn new things as you go along. But just in general, reading has been something that I found to be really, really fun and something that's kind of relaxing that you can do at the end of the day. So we're going to talk about some of the books that we've been reading. You have a much larger library to pick from than I do. And, just going to be a fun conversation. It's not going to be too serious. I just want to talk to someone who is doing some great things when it comes to reading. So, Sarah, I want to ask you this first question here. What has been your favorite book so far that you've read in your reading challenge?
In this year, my favorite book was Educated by Tara Westover, which is a really cool nonfiction book. It was on several bestsellers lists last year, and it is about a woman who's about my age who was raised on kind of a survivalist compound in Idaho with some really crazy people and was never sent to school. And she went on to get a PhD at Oxford and is incredibly educated now. And just reading her entire journey makes you real grateful for a lot of things. And it's just really eye-opening.
Wow, that one is on my list. I've had that one sitting there and I've been waiting to read it. I think I have it on hold at the library to pick up and read it. So you kind of made me a little more excited to check that one out.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. There's also a little... Even she admits that, like, at times she might not be the most reliable narrator. And I love books where you can't trust the narrator. So you'll have to read it and get back to me when you do, because I really enjoyed it. There are some characters in there that are really fun to hate. Like,
it sounds like there's going to be a lot of people to hate.
Yeah. Like Cruella de Vil, when you were a child, level of hate.
Huh. Okay. All right. I definitely got to make sure I check that one out.
Yeah.
I would say, since I have not read as many books as you, Sarah, so can I cheat and dip back into 2018? Because dip farther back into the books that I've read.
Of course.
And I've already mentioned this a ton of times on the show. It was The Year of Less by Kate Flanders, who I've had on the podcast maybe like a few months ago. Mm-hmm. And I just love this book just because it's a very open, honest story. And I think it surprised me by what it was about. I just thought it was going to be someone documenting not spending money for a year. But really, it was more so about her relationship with money and the psychology behind why we spend and why we do the things we do with money and how it's just all kind of tied together. So for me, I really love that book. And it's kind of one that stuck with me so far.
I read that late last year as well. And I really, really enjoyed it for the same reasons. It wasn't just a book on minimalism. It was about exploring the relationships you have with stuff and consumerism. And she really made you think.
Yeah.
As she went through that journey herself. I especially loved all the numbers. She, I had,
Yes.
1,032 amount of X and, 514 Y. And I was just like, one, I'm impressed that you counted those.
Yeah, exactly.
And two, that you put that much thought into it. I thought she was amazing. That's so cool that you got to talk to her.
Yeah, such a nice person. So it makes sense that the book was so good. Thanks for joining us for part 1 of our conversation. And remember, part 2 will be coming out tomorrow morning. So just check your feeds. Should be there right when you wake up. And, I was sitting here thinking that, I do a lot of updates on Instagram over at Popcorn Finance Podcast. If you're not already joining me, come on by. But I don't talk about it a lot here on the podcast, probably because I don't have that much time to really fill you in on what's going on. But one thing I definitely wanted to tell you about was on Memorial Day, which was, I think, a week ago at this point, I got the chance to be a guest on Minnesota Public Radio. And I was a guest along with Kara Stevens, and we were on MPR News, which is hosted by Carrie Miller. And we got to talk about financial independence and why there's this movement of younger people trying to retire by or before the age of 50. So it's a really cool experience. I got to record from a studio in LA. Felt very legit. This was the most podcaster-like I've ever felt in my life. So yeah, if you go over to Instagram, I posted a couple pictures and videos from that. And I just want to say thanks to Carrie for having me on and to Jeffrey for inviting me and setting up everything and let me be in that really cool studio out in downtown LA. So yeah, come visit me over on Instagram, and in my profile, I actually have a link to that interview. And I think it's a really cool format. I think you'll enjoy it. So come on over, take a listen, enjoy the conversation. But until tomorrow, I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, boy, keep it poppin' like Mary Poppins.